information processing. So, hindi naman siya totally sobrang haba na discussion. Siguro, baka nga before 3 or baka 3 p.m. tapos na tayo. Okay? Basta ano lang tayo, makinig and participate well dun sa ating magiging discussion para mas maaga tayong makatapos. And then dun sa ating magiging presentation later, yung last part, hindi muna natin siya i-discuss. Yun yung part na may computation. So, amin lang siya nadagdagan pa ng details. Lalagyan namin ng example siguro. And also para kasama na siya doon. Para yung ating computation part ay doon na sa ating sunod na mga discussion or sunod na mga meetings. By hindi ko sure kung kasi kung di ako nagkakamali siya ay ano ata, ay holiday. Meron ba kayong balita about doon?
Wala po, sir.
Wala. Okay. Anong wala? Sorry, walang balita or walang pasok?
Wala pong balita po.
Okay. Okay. So, hindi ko din kasi sure kung may class or wala kasi parang holiday yata siya with regards. Wait lang. Wait lang. Sorry, Rasa, at may kinuha lang ako index card. Okay? So, yun, by next week kasi parang may na sagap lang kami. Pero ang alam ko kasi ay, hindi ko lang sure, wala pa kasing final din kung talaga ba siyang holiday or hindi. So, yun. Probably kung mawalan man ng pasok, so maapektuhan yung ating klase. Kasi supposedly that would be our face-to-face class. Then kung mawawalan nga siya ng pasok, medyo magagahol tayo or mabibitin baka tayo sa oras. So, tingnan natin kung kaya siyang compress yung ating mga natitirang schedule. Kasi, ididepende rin natin yun sa magiging schedule ng ating examination para makover natin yung mga topics. Kung sakali naman, are you open ba to have makeup class kung sakali? Just to inform you in advance at saka parang ma-survey ko kung sakali if papayag kayo na magkaroon ng what do you call this, yun yung makeup class. Any
Okay lang po, sir.
reaction? Gusto ko majority kung sakali. Ito naman is, syempre, hindi naman natin siya gagawin kung hindi okay sa time nyo, hindi okay sa time ko, at wala tayong room na magagamit. So, kumbaga, isa lang siya sa option na nakikita natin kung sakali, if ever, na medyo kakapusin nga tayo sa oras. Kasi, ngayon yung first formal discussion natin, and then yun nga, yung isa face-to-face pa yung makukuha sa atin kung wala talaga siyang pasok. So, yun, binibigyan ko yun ng heads up with regards to that, if ever na, yun nga, wala tayo ng pasok by next week. Okay? Pero the updates naman about doon, edi kung sakali, pag-uusapan natin pwedeng sa GC. Okay? Is that clear?
Yes.
So, yan. Ano pa ba? With regards to the schedule of our laboratory experiments or lab activities. So, tingnan natin kung kailan tayo magsaset ng first lab natin, o first laboratory experiment. Kasi mga discussion, so mag-a-ask din ako sa mga ka-co-teach ko with regards to the subject para ma-update ko kayo kung kailan tayo magkakaroon ng ating laboratory experiment kasi more on ang magiging mga lab experiments natin ay gagamit ng laptop. So I think kaya na-inform ko na noong last week doon sa ating orientation. So majority of you naman ay merong laptops na pwede natin gamitin. So medyo tiis-tiis muna tayo kung sakali if you're going to bring it dito sa school kasi para magamit natin siya. And then, meron tayong mga laboratory experiments that will be conducted individually and then meron din tayong by group. So, yung groupings with regards doon sa mga lab experiments na yun ay saka na natin i-group sa banda-banda dyan. Hindi na muna siya today. And then, naulit ko din na you're going to need a software na gagamitin natin for the laboratory experiments. So it will be better for you to install it ahead na before pa natin gamitin si ating software sa ating mga laboratory experiments. So I'll be showing you dito sa screen um, kung ano yung software that you're going to download. So meron naman siya sa ating Google. Ayun. Ano ko muna, wait lang. So yan, I'll be showing lang ngayon yung my whole screen for the meantime. So, punta lang tayo kay Google. Tapos, try to search for ito. Papalaki ba to? Yan. Search Design Tools by Niebel. Niebel ang spelling ng Niebel natin. So, we have Design Tools. Pwede siyang dire-diretso na ganito. That will be the name ng ating software to be used. But later on naman, dito sa GC nyo later, isa-send ko yung link para mas madali nyo siyang makita. So, I'll be just showing you for the meantime muna siya. So, yan. Search it on Google and then hanapin nyo to. Ito. Itong kay McGraw Hill Education. And then kapag kinilik nyo to, dapat ito yung mag-a-appear or ito yung magpa-pop up or ito yung magbubukas na new tab for you to be able to download this software. Ito naman po ay for free ang download. So kindly install na this one ahead nga po ng ating mga laboratory experiments. So ito entitled as Methods, Standards, and Work Design, 11th edition. So we have here Design Tools 3.0 software. And then, ito. Kindly click na lang kung sakali yung first link. Yan. So we have itong this version of Design Tools 3.0 requires 4 MB of your memory. Then kindly click na lang itong tawag dito, pinaka-file niya. And then kindly install na lang siya sa inyong mga laptops. Then, after installing it, you can browse it for the meantime. Explore nyo lang din yung software to be used para makita nyo kung ano yung itsura ng environment niya para kapag tayo ay gumamit ay mas madali natin siyang ma-follow. Although magkakameron naman tayo ng mga instructions on how to use or kung paano natin ina-navigate yung ating software para dun sa ating mga laboratory experiments. Okay? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
How about the others?
Yes po.
Kasunod?
Yes.
Yes po, sir.
Okay. Okay? So, yun muna as part of mga reminders and notes natin before we formally start our lecture or discussion for this afternoon. Okay? So, I will be now presenting naman the presentation. Wait lang. Yan. Nakikita niyo na class, the presentation?
Yes po.
Opo.
Okay. So, yan. So, this will be our first topic. So, we will be discussing the introduction to cognitive ergonomics. So, before nagkameron na kayo ng ergonomics 1. Tama?
Yes po.
Yes po.
Ano si ergonomics 1? Saan tayo nag-focus? If you can recall? Anyone? Ano naging focus natin for ergonomics 1?
Physical ergonomics po.
Okay. So, yung ating ergonomics 1 na inyong tinake previously focuses on the physical ergonomics. Wherein kay physical ergonomics, parang may kasabihan tayo doon that we are going to fit the work or yung ating mga working area, ating task to the worker. Okay? And then, ano ba yung commonly mga ginamit natin dyan? Mga anthropometric measurements to design, for example, yung ating workstation, to adjust them para hindi yung tao ang nag-a-adjust sa ating trabaho. Kasi nga, mas madali kung yung ating mga machineries, for example, my equipments natin is designed to cater, hindi lang yung isa, kundi but for all of our nag-interact doon sa ating mga machineries and equipment. Next. So as introduction, so even though ergonomic interventions or involvements in various fields have shown a great achievement to improve safety and productivity in the industry, so our ergonomists and researchers have faced a new challenge to move beyond further. Kasi yes, ay katulad ng ating ergonomics 1 and even other courses natin greatly help in terms of um, providing safety and productivity doon sa ating mga working environment or doon sa ating kinabibilangan na company. But syempre, as the time goes by, nag-a-advance yung ating mga technology. We will be dealing with complex systems. So, nakaka-encounter tayo ng mga new challenges or ng mga struggles na kumbaga beyond the control or beyond the help of those courses or beyond the help of those concepts na ating napag-aralan prior na dito sa ating program. So likewise, industries appeals to ergonomists and cognitive psychologists to find solutions for workers who have cognitive disorders and failures related to reductions in visual and hearing function since a large part of occupational accidents and injuries is caused by human errors due to cognitive breakdowns. Kasi meron tayong mga tinatawag nito na yun nga, mga cognitive disorders and failures which eventually na kapag ito hindi natin napagtuunan ng pansin or kapag hindi natin ito nabigyan ng solution kaagad, hindi natin napag-aralan, maaaring tayo as human beings na tayo ay nagtatrabaho can have or can what do you call this, pwede tayong makagawa, pwede tayong makakommit ng mga human errors due to these cognitive disorders or due to these limitations and capabilities lang na meron tayo. And eventually, kung makakapag-commit tayo or makakapag-commit tayo ng mga ganitong klase ng errors, wherein pwede naman sana nating naagapan, pwede itong mag-lead sa mas malaking problema And worse is pwede itong mag-cause ng mga incidents, accidents, injuries, and worse is fatality. So yun yung gusto nating maiwasan so that we can provide safe working environment dun sa ating mga trabaho and also para ma-achieve natin yung goal lagi na makapag-attain ng high productivity. So the human errors have different causes. However, cognitive abilities and limitations of workers play a vital contribution. So yun nga, yung human errors natin. So hindi naman natin sinasabi ng lahat ng klase ng human errors ay nagmumula or nanggagaling lang kay cognitive limitations or yung abilities or capabilities na meron tayo. So, syempre, may other causes pa rin naman itong ating mga human errors like yung mga negligence na and etc. But yung pagkakaroon natin ng cognitive abilities and limitations ng bawat isa sa atin play a vital contribution with regards to these kinds of errors. Kasi, what if kaya naman pala natin siyang i-prevent? Kailangan lang natin siyang pag-aralan, kailangan lang natin siyang i-predict kumbaga. Kung ano yung mga pwedeng mangyari so that we can assign or so that we can provide precautionary measures para hindi ito mangyari. Okay? Nakaka-follow kayo, class?
Yes po.
Okay? So, wag aantokin ha. Titingnan ko yan time to time kung kayo ay gising pa. Alam ko ang ating time ay medyo hindi siya, tawag dito, kagandahan in terms of this kind of lectures, yung medyo ma-wordings. Pero find ways na lang class ha, para hindi kayo makatulog, para kayo ay makasunod sa ating klase. Okay? So, these cognitive failures are described as cognitively based errors arising in a simple task that persons or workers can do without any error. Okay? So, cognitive failures occur in job-related and non-job-related activities. So, ito naman ay sinasabi nga natin yung mga cognitive failures natin, not necessarily doon lang sa mga job-related activities or tasks na meron tayo. So, sometimes yan ay nag-occur din even to non-job-related activities wherein pwede pa rin itong makakommit or pwede pa rin itong mag-cause to larger accidents, which is ito nga yung mga gusto nating maiwasan. But yun, specifically, work-related cognitive failures are cognitively based human errors and clusters of breakdowns that appear in working environments. So mostly, yung ating mga work-related cognitive failures, so syempre nangyayari yan dun sa ating mga work setups, ating mga work environments, and ito yung may malalaking impact din kung sakali. Maybe, pwede natin sabihin na simple lang yung na-commit natin na human errors, but yung simple na nagawa natin or na-commit natin na error na yun can lead to large scale na damage. Kasi we cannot tell kung ano ba yung magiging effect niya. Kasi depende yun sa pagka-complex ng, for example, ng process ng machine na ginagamit natin, for example, sa ating trabaho. So, parang hindi natin siya iti-treat as a simple error, but i-treat din natin siya with kumbaga ng mahalaga siya para mabigyan niya natin siya or mapagtuunan natin siya ng pansin at mabigyan natin ng solution. So more so, cognitive issues have not been systematically highlighted in workplace ergonomic programs. So yun, katulad for example ng tinake niya na previous course, yung ating ergonomic zone, which ang mainly focus naman yun is kay physical ergonomics. Like for example, yung mga height, para mai-adjust nga natin yung ating mga working station, yung sa mga lifting index, para kailan ba dapat yung girls na pwedeng sundin, ano yung proper way para pag-lift, even dun sa mga movement natin, if you still remember. So, meron din tayong mga standard na tinatawag para doon. And we have different tools na pwede nating magamit to measure kung ito ba ay nafa-follow natin or hindi with regards dun sa ating mga work setup. Okay? So, yun yung commonly mga na-highlight natin for physical ergonomics. But here, issues na gusto natin i-focus or bigyan pansin is yung ating mga cognitive issues nga po, which is mainly on how we are going to understand how we as human being behave while we are interacting with different machineries, setups, and equipments that we are going to use to our work. Sabihin niyo, class, na pag ako ay masyadong mabilis or pag kayo ay hindi makahabol. Is that clear? Kindly, raise your hand kung kayo mga gising pa. Yan, okay. Sige, pwede na ulit ibaba, pwede na ulit alisin. Thank you, thank you. Sorry, class, kailangan ko lang siyang i-check time to time para ma-assure kung kayo ay still present. Present na yung hindi pa nakakatulog. Okay? So, to proceed, right. So, move tayo kay history ng ating cognitive ergonomics. So, the field of cognitive ergonomics is emerged predominantly in the 70s with the advent of the personal computer and new developments in the fields cognitive psychology and artificial intelligence. So, sinasabi dito that the cognitive ergonomics ay kumbaga nag-start or nag-boom and siya ay parang kinailangan in the 70s kasi dito sa time na to nagkameron din tayo ng mga advancement in terms of our technology. So, madaming bagong mga nade-develop like computers and also yan, meron tayong mga artificial intelligence already. So, that time, medyo nagiging komplikado na. Nagiging complex na yung mga systems natin. Nagiging komplikado na yung mga bagay. Kaya, for difficulties. And kasama na rin dito yung, so dito, syempre, pag komplikado na isang bagay, hindi naman natin masasabi na lahat ng tao ay agad makakasunod sa kanya. So, it may take time. Maaaring mabilis sa iba, maaaring mas matagal sa iba. So, we need to cope up din doon sa advancement ni technology na meron tayo. So, yung pangangailangan natin in terms of the cognitive ergonomics ay nag-arise din. So, kailangan natin maka-cope up. So, therefore, we need to have a study, kumbaga, para tayo ay makapagbigay doon sa mga issues and concerns na nag-a-arise kasabay nitong mga advancements na ito. So, it is the application of psychology to work to achieve the optimization between people and their work. So, dito, ano ba si psychology? Diba ito yung parang pag-aaral natin in terms how our mind work or kung paano nag-work yung ating kung paano tayo mag-isip. Something like that. So, the cognitive ergonomics is a application of this so that we can achieve yung optimization na gusto nating ma-achieve between our people or yung ating workers with regards to their work or doon sa kanilang mga tasks na kinabibilangan. So, ano ba yung mga pangangailangan nila? Paano ba nila na-perceive itong bagay nito? Paano ba nila ito naiintindihan? So, based from that, pwede tayong magkaroon ng different solutions with regards to the problems na nag-a-arise doon sa ating mga work setups. Okay, so for the definition, kindly read, anyone, cognitive ergonomics. Yes, Miss Etchega.
Cognitive ergonomics studies cognition in work settings in order to optimize human well-being and system performance. It is a subset of the larger field of human factors and ergonomics. Focuses on the fit between human cognitive abilities and limitations in the machine task environment.
Okay,
Cognition.
thank you. Sorry. Okay, thank you. So, yun nga, as from dito sa ating current slide. Thank you sa pagbasa. So, si cognitive ergonomics natin, so it is the study of cognition in work settings in order to optimize yung ating human well-being and system performance. So, we will be studying on how nga po our what do you call this, yung behavior natin as human being as we interact doon sa ating mga machines and equipments para ma-achieve natin or to optimize not only yung ating mga employee or yung ating human well-being but also the system performance or para ma-achieve natin yung common goal natin to have a safe environment and safe working environment and yung ating tinatawag na high productivity. So it focuses on the fit between human cognitive abilities and limitations. So, syempre, ano ba yung mga kakayanan natin cognitively and ano yung mga limitations natin dito? So, syempre, hindi naman natin masasabi na lahat tayo ay pantay-pantay in terms of how we interpret, how we understand several information based doon sa ating mga nakikita, naririnig, naranasan, and etc. So, iba-iba tayo ng interpretation, iba-iba tayo ng recognition in terms of this information. So, we need to fit or we need to focus on how to fit these capabilities, these abilities and limitations para magkaroon nga tayo noong ating optimized performance between human well-being at saka no ating working environment. So, cognition, just to add, is the mental action or process of acquiring knowledge and understanding thought, experience, and the senses. Kasi kanina pa natin binabanggit si cognitive, etc., etc. Ano ba si cognition? So, ito yung process kung paano natin na-acquire yung knowledge or paano natin nakukuha yung mga ideas or paano natin nagiging yung mga natututunan natin na ideas and paano natin sila nauunawaan through the help of yun yung mga experiences and also yung mga different senses na meron tayo. So, kayo naman siguro ay aware kung ano yung mga senses natin. Like, we have our sense of smell, sense of sight, sense of hearing, touch, and ano kalimutan ko? Forget one. Nabanggit ko ang smell, sense of smell, taste, feel, yung sa ating hearing, and doon sa ating sight. Okay? So, we have 5 different senses that we can use in terms of our cognition. So, later naman, mag-discuss din natin yun doon sa ating mga stages of cognitive process. So, according to the IEA or the International Ergonomics Association, so, cognitive ergonomics is concerned with mental processes such as yung nga, meron tayong perception na tinatawag. So, yan ay after natin makuha sina sensation or yung based dun sa ating mga senses. So, we will be perceiving or we will be giving meaning or i-interpret or i-recognize yan ni ating brain. Kung ano ba yung isinesend na signals from our senses. Then, we will be storing it to our memory. And then, after that, we can get it anytime na kailangan natin siya. Pwede natin siyang i-retrieve so that we can use it dun sa ating mga reasoning, decision making, sa ating problem solving so that makapagbigay tayo ng feedback or action based on the information that we are gathering or yung mga inputs natin. So it is also the discipline and practices for making human system interaction compatible with human cognitive abilities and limitations, particularly at work. So yun nga, since ito ay cognitive ergonomics, we will be dealing also on how these human cognitive abilities and limitations is ma-fit natin or mai-angkop natin sa kung ano mang working environment meron tayo. So it aims to ensure appropriate communications among human needs, works, products, environments, capabilities, and limitations. So syempre, sa isa namang working environment, nag-iiba-iba naman ang pangangailangan ng ating tao kasi depende siya kung ano yung trabaho. Ano yung trabaho itself, ano yung mga product na kailangan gawin, working environment itself, and yung mga capabilities and limitations nga na meron tayo. So, yun yung mga considerations that we need to follow or we need to use in order for us to study ang ating cognitive ergonomics. Yes? May nag-raise ba ng hand?
Napindot po, sir.
Okay. So, to continue, so the role of ergonomics in our OSH or yung tinatawag nating occupational safety and health. So, ito naman general as ergonomics. Either siya ay physical or cognitive. Rather naman yan na ipaghiwalay natin. So, syempre, ano ba ang pinaka-priority or goal natin by studying ergonomics is to have yung tinatawag natin better workplaces and work processes. So, pinifit natin yung ating mga workers doon sa kanilang mga job through the help of wait lang. Okay? So, yun, to continue. So, yung main goal natin by studying ergonomics is to having yung mga better workplaces and work processes. So, yun yung mga ini-adjust natin, binibigyan natin ng solution. So, kay physical ergonomics, ano ba yung mga ginagawa natin? Commonly, yan sa mga height, anthropometric measurements, mga lifting, and etc. So, ina-adjust natin or nagkakameron tayo ng improvement in terms of the environment and the processes itself na involved doon sa ating task or job. So, ang goal niyan, bakit natin siya ginagawa, is to minimize the work-related stress and fatigue. Siyempre, pangangalagaan natin ngayon yung ating mga workers kasi sila yung gagalaw, sila yung gagawa, sila yung magiging force natin to achieve yung goal natin na makapag-produce ng ating mga products na kailangan nating gawin. Kung wala silang workers, wala ding gagawa, walang magiging output. So we need to provide them a working environment which is safe, and kung hindi man natin totally ma-eliminate si stress and fatigue, at least ma-minimize natin siya doon sa pinaka possible way and as low as possible. Yun nga, it would be better kung wala. Pero kung hindi naman, at least ma-minimize natin siya as possible as it can. Then, ito, nahati lang natin siya sa dalawa. The other one is for the physical ergonomics. Commonly kay physical ergonomics ay, ito nasa kabila, yung walang red. So, it prevents occupational diseases. First of all, the MSDS or yung ating tinatawag na mga musculoskeletal disorders. Okay? So, may mga naaalala pa ba kayo? Kahit short recall lang. Like for example, ano yung mga common causes? Ba't tayo nagkaka-musculoskeletal disorders? Anyone? May naaalala pa? Any causes? Kung bakit nagkakameron ng mga MSD or kaya ay anong type ng MSD ba naalala nyo? Any answer lang? Yes? Miss Bagpantay?
Sir, yung sa yung repetition movements po.
Okay.
Kaya po MSD.
Okay, yes. Yung sa pagkakaroon ng mga repetitive movements. So, that is all, yeah, that is correct. That is one of major cause kung bakit tayo nagkakameron ng MSD. Yes, thank you. Any other idea? Yes. Rosano?
Sa mga vibration po, sir.
Okay. Yes, also sa mga vibration, lalo na kung maltaas na yung frequency niya. So, it can lead talaga to musculoskeletal disorders. And then, other pa is yung sa atin nga sa mga paglilift. And then, what else pa kung nag-combine na yung ganyang klase ng causes. So, imagine, ano yung pwede nating makuha or ano yung pwede nating ah, kumbaga ma-take na MSD kung yan ay sa work area natin or dun sa ating task ay involve lahat ng causes na yan. That's why nire-regulate yan, kinokontrol. Like for example, dapat ganito ka lang katagal involved. Halimbawa, kung ang allowed lang ay 1 hour, so dapat 1 hour ka lang may break ka para hindi siya continuous. Kung repetitive naman siya, hindi maiiwasan na ganun talaga ang trabaho, at least yun din, nag-reduce tayo ng time or nagkakameron tayo ng mga preventive tools para at least mabawasan yung yung frequency ng ating mga ng mga present na causes na ito. Okay? So, yun yung kay physical ergonomics. While dito tayo kay cognitive, so commonly, it will be reducing the possibility of human error and wrong decisions. So, yun nga, based doon sa ating capabilities and limitations. So, tayo as human being na worker, pwede tayo makapag-commit ng human errors and wrong decision. So, by the help of cognitive ergonomics, we want to reduce them. Kung hindi din man natin sila ma-eliminate totally para ma-achieve nga natin yung ating common goal na magkaroon ng safe working environment and high productivity. So, iba-iba tayo ng way on how to deal, paano tayo mag-recognize ng ating mga information. So, even though ganun, pwede naman natin siyang bigyan ng mga preventive measures or mga solutions beforehand para ma-prevent natin siya sa pangyayari. So, contributes to the prevention of workplace accidents and industrial accidents. So, yun nga, yan kasi yung mga worst scenario na gusto nating ma-prevent or maiwasan. Kasi, yes, maaring maliit yung nangyari but it can lead to malaking damage. Kasi nga, depende siya dun sa process na involved tayo. And tsaka kung siya ay halimbawang dinisregard natin kasi sa tingin natin ay maliit lang. Pero kung halimbawang paulit-ulit siyang ginawa, maaari siyang mag-accumulate to a big problem. So, kailangan natin siya pagtuunan ng pansin even from the smallest thing. Basta alam natin na siya ay maaaring error or siya ay pwedeng mag-cause ng accidents or injuries. So, yan. Physical ergonomics versus cognitive ergonomics, I think ito naman ay kahit pa paano yung nabanggit ko na rin sa inyo a while ago. So, kung ano ba yung focus natin kay physical ergonomics. So, more on ito nga, we have designing a lifting job to occur at or near waist height, selecting a tool shape that reduces awkward postures, and reducing unnecessary tasks and movement to increase production or reduce errors and waste. So, yan naman, I hope na kahit pa paano ay inyo pang nare-recall. So, ito ay some of the examples ng mga nagiging preventive measures natin or yung ating mga solution para kay physical ergonomics para magkaroon tayo ng common goal natin which is a safe working environment and high productivity. While dito kay cognitive ergonomics is ang focus natin dito is to fit between the fit between what we call human cognitive abilities and limitations in the machine task environment. So ano yung kakayanan natin, ano yung hindi natin kaya, paano ba tayo makapag-isip, paano natin siya naiintindihan, paano tayo mag-react, paano tayo magbigay ng feedback based doon sa ating mga machineries, tasks, and environment na kinabibilangan. Do you have any questions so far?
Wala naman po, sir.
Okay. So next, we will be now moving to the application or yung application natin cognitive ergonomics. First, open read po. First one. Anyone? Yes, Von?
Application. Designing a software interface to be easy to use.
Okay, thank you. So yung first one natin, sabi, pwede natin magamit si, tawag dito, pwede natin magamit si cognitive ergonomics in designing a software interface to be easy to use. Kasi nga, kahit dun sa, di ba, halimbawa may mga software tayong ginagamit, lalo na ngayon, nowadays, um, siya ay gamit na gamit sa mga industry kasi nga yung advancement natin in technology ay mataas. So, different softwares, complex na mga system, ginagamit natin siya to our processes or ini-involve natin siya. So, therefore, dapat yung ating mga software ay easy to use para sa ating mga employees or dun sa ating mga workers. Kasi, um, yung kadalian sa paggamit ng isang software, for example, ay makakaapekto doon sa ating trabaho. Kasi, kung hindi siya madaling gamitin ng ating workers, hindi niya madaling maiintindihan yan. For example, kahit sa mga kung paano ba yung tamang process, yung sunod-sunod ng kailangan niyang pindutin, for example, sa software, kung hindi niya yan naintindihan, hindi siya makakapagtrabaho ng maayos. Hindi niya alam kung anong gagawin. Hindi siya makakapag-react ng naaangkop doon sa kanyang trabaho. So, nagkakaproblema tayo with regards to the perception na meron siya. Kasi nga, nahihirapan siyang intindihin siya. So, therefore, kung meron tayong cognitive ergonomics, makakapag-assess tayo ano ba yung madali para doon sa ating doon sa ating human well-being. Yung madali siyang mauunawaan. Kasunod naman yan, itong pangalawa, we have designing an icon or icons and visual cues so that the majority of people will understand and act in the intended manner. So kahit dyan sa simpleng bagay, akala natin ang simple niya. Pero mahalaga na makapag-provide tayo ng design which is madaling intindihin yung mga icons and visual cues. Kasi kahit dun sa simpleng mga symbols na yun, kung siya ay understandable agad, like for example, unang kita pa lang ni employee, ay alam ko stop ito. Ay alam ko start ito. So agad, nakita niya pa lang na process agad yung information, meron agad pwedeng feedback or reaction time itong ating utak or tayo as a human well-being, madali tayong makakapagbigay ng feedback, madali tayong makakapag-react. Ano yung kailangan nating gawin? So therefore, makaka-apekto siya in terms of our work or doon sa ating trabaho also. So dapat mapag-aralan natin siya and that can be obtained to the help of cognitive ergonomics. Yan. Ito naman, designing an airplane cockpit or nuclear power plant control system so that the operators will not make catastrophic errors. Ito naman naka-specific into these kinds of industry kasi ito yung mga komplikado talaga. If you can see, airplane cockpit is yan yung control area kumbaga para ng isang eroplano. Yung kay pilot. Kahit pa paano naman nakikita natin yan sa mga movies, kung gaano kadami yung mga monitors, mga buttons, mga switch, and lahat-lahat na ng controls na meron sa isang eroplano. Yan ay hanggang gilid, hanggang bubong, pinakataas niya. Meron silang kinokontrol dyan. And it serves different functions. Depende kung ano ang pangangailangan. Para lang gumana ang isang eroplano para mapalipad ito ng maayos. So, sabi dito, it can be one of the application also ni cognitive ergonomics. Kasi, like for example nga, kailangan na-design natin siya ng madali, yung mga software na ginamit natin siya, madaling intindihin. Yes, komplikado siya, pero gawin natin siyang easier para din sa gagamit. Siyempre, may mga symbols din yan. May mga cues na gagamitin para dyan. So, therefore, dapat ma-provide natin sila ng mas madaling maunawaan doon sa mga gagamit nito para maiwasan natin nga yung tinatawag nating catastrophic errors. Kasi, a simple human error can lead nga dito sa mga ganitong klase ng damage. The configuration of equipment and furniture in a hospital operating room to maximize team performance and minimize errors of perception, attention, and judgment. So ito, isa din to sa pwedeng malaki niyang application since alam naman natin kung gaano ka-importante yung ating mga medical areas like mga hospitals. So, it would be better if we can configure or we can design a facility na makakapag-cater doon sa ating mga medical needs na mama-maximize natin yung performance ng ating mga workers doon. So, we can provide them ng mas madali nila mapaperceive and yung attention and judgment ng mga mag-work doon is ating mapapataas para hindi sila mahirapan and para maiwasan natin yung mga errors or yung mga failures na pwede nilang makommit during their work or during their tasks. Last, we have the creation of an office environment to minimize distractions and maximize productivity and performance. So yun nga, ito naman for general, kahit naman sa office, applicable siya, we can use cognitive ergonomics kasi nga we will be dealing on how the human being will behave with regards to its working environment. So we want to minimize distractions para makuha natin yung common goal natin na ma-maximize yung productivity and to have a safe working environment. Any questions so far, class?
Wala pa naman po.
Okay, so to proceed, so we have different focuses of the cognitive ergonomics. So the primary focus of cognitive ergonomics is on work activities, which first is to have an emphasize cognitive component like yung mga calculation, decision making. So, syempre, meron tayong mga work-related tasks na kinakailangan natin ng mga calculation. Decision making, reasoning, problem solving. So, makakatulong si cognitive ergonomics para ma-aid natin on how we gather information and how we use this information or knowledges na nagain natin para magamit natin siya as relative information to solve a certain problem or issue para magamit natin siya as a solution. It also focuses in safety critical environments, provide safe working environment. Cognitive ergonomics also focuses on complex changeable environments like wherein tasks cannot be predetermined. So, yan yung mga commonly focus of cognitive ergonomics natin para makapag-provide nga tayo ng safe working environment sa ating mga workers and high productivity na ating gustong ma-achieve. Okay. So next is cognitive ergonomics in the design of complex system. So complex automated systems create interesting design challenges, and research and post-accident analysis indicate that the human role in automated system must be closely considered. So yun nga, especially nowadays, halos lahat na ng type ng automation na pwede natin gamitin is ini-introduce to the world or to the industry. Kasi it also greatly help naman yung ating mga industries nowadays, yung mga advancement na katulad niyan. Pero as we advance, ay may kalakip yan ng mga challenges or concerns na pwede nating makuha din or pwede nating ma-face. And kumbaga napapatunayan to sa mga researchers o sa mga post-analysis that human role in this type of systems, yung mga automation or automated systems, ay dapat na closely na monitor. Bakit siya kailangan? It is because complex ito. Itong mga automated systems na ito. And yun yan, naulit ko naman sa inyo kanina. Pag komplikado ng isang bagay, um, nagdoon yung kaakibat niya na kumbaga challenges. Mas prone siya na hindi gano'n kaagad makuha. Prone siya na hindi agad lahat ng gagamit nito ay agad na maiintindihan siya. So therefore, kailangan natin i-monitor maayos itong ating human role in terms of automated systems kasi dito prone yung mga human error na pwedeng ma-commit ng ating mga involved sa ganitong klase ng system. So automation can result in increased operator monitoring and vigilance requirements, complex decision-making requirements, and other issues that can increase the likelihood of errors and accidents. Okay? So yun nga, binanggit lang dito that yun nga, through these types of systems like yung automation, so it will increase yung ating operator monitoring kasi nga we need to analyze yung human intervention with regards to this kind of system. Kasi nga, mas prone dito yung mga error sa ganitong klase ng sistema. And yung requirement and yung decision making with regards dito ay also tumataas. And yan yung isa sa scope or isa sa focus na gusto nating bigyan ng diin with regards to cognitive ergonomics. So another interesting effect in automation is that humans will sometimes overtrust or mistrust an automated system. So meron kasi tayong thinking, kumbaga, na ay automated naman siya, ay makina naman yung gagawa, so okay na yan, napag-aralan na yan, etc., etc., etc. So masyado tayong nagre-rely doon sa ganun thinking or masyado nating iniisip na okay siya. But in the end, we need to not overtrust itong mga ganitong klase ng system kasi dito tayo maaari makapag-commit ng mga human error na gusto nating maiwasan. Kasi masyado tayo nagtiwala na okay na siya. Wherein, yung human intervention natin dito is mas mataas yung requirements. So, kailangan closely ma-monitor natin siya if talaga bang ito'y nauunawaan ng mga magiging involved dito. Kasi isang pagkakamali nila can greatly affect or can greatly produce damage kapag siya ay nakapag-commit ng human error. Okay? Next. So yan. Cognitive. So let us define first cognitive psychology. Anyone who can read? Anyone? Yes, Heresano?
Cognitive psychology, branch of psychology devoted to the scientific study of the mind. It involves the study of internal mental processes, all of the things that go on inside your brain, including perception, thinking, memory, attention, language, problem solving, and learning.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So, yun nga, nabanggit naman dito, si cognitive psychology is yung ating branch of psychology devoted to the scientific study of our mind. So, therefore, it involves the internal mental processes of all things that go inside your brain, including from the sensation, attention. So, yun naman yung mga stages of cognitive process later, i-discuss natin siya. So, we have yung perception, and then memory, we have learning, we have the problem solving, also we have thinking, and yung mga decision making. Okay? So, while cognitive, so dito sa ating current slide, it says that cognitive comes from a Latin word which is cognito, meaning to apprehend or to understand. Ibig sabihin ay ito yung cognitive is ibig sabihin is paano or yung pag-intindi natin sa isang bagay. Wherein yung process niya is yung cognition. Okay? So we have a general term including all mental processes by which people become aware of and understand the word. Si cognition is the process on how we understand or kung paano tayo maging aware sa mga bagay-bagay. And yung cognitive naman yung um, what do you call this? To apprehend niya or to understand ang kanyang meaning. So, huwag malilito sa dalawa. Yung isa is yung ating process on how to become aware. Okay? So, next part of our discussion, we have here stages of cognitive processes. Do you have any question before we move to this next part? Any question?
Wala naman.
How about the others?
Wala pa naman.
Wala pa po, sir.
Okay. Sige nga, kindly raise your hands ulit kung gising pa. Yan, okay. Thank you. So, you may, na ulit, remove it. Yan. Sige, thank you. So, now we will be discussing naman the next part of our discussion, which is the stages of cognitive processes. So, meron tayong 8 stages of cognitive processes to be discussed. And the first one will be what we call sensation. Okay? So, sensation, so it refers to our awareness about various stimuli which we encounter in different modalities such as vision, hearing, touch, smell, and taste. So, yung ating 5 senses. Okay? So, kapag nagiging aware tayo doon sa ating what do you call this, different stimuli na yon. So, kapag meron halimbawa tayo in terms of vision, kapag may nakita tayo, yung ating hearing, kapag may naririnig, touch, so kapag tayo biglang nararamdaman, smell through our nose, and taste to our tongue. So, this produces stimuli that sends what do you call this, nerve impulse to our brain para unawaan natin kung ano ba yung mga information na gustong ipahatid nitong mga senses na ito or yung ano ba yung mga na-collect nilang information. So, various physical energies in the environment act on the sense organ. The receptors in them are stimulated from which nerve impulse are transmitted in the brain. So, yun nga, as I have mentioned sa inyo, so these sense organs natin have these receptors that we called, and ito yung mga nagko-collect na information and send this nerve impulse to our brain para ito naman yung ipaprocess ng brain natin to obtain the information na gusto niyang iparating. Kung ano ba yung na-collect or ano ba yung natanggap ng ating mga sense organs na ito as information. Okay? So, perception of the object and events are produced when these nerve impulse are processed. So, yun nga, as I have mentioned sa inyo, through sensation and through the help of our sense organs, these this nerve impulse that being stimulated in our sense organs will be further processed para ma-perceive natin or para makuha natin yung meaning ng mga impulse na ito, ng mga information na ito at para magamit natin siya as basis or para ma-collect natin siya as knowledge na pwede nating i-store sa ating mga utak or sa ating brain. Next stage of cognitive process is attention. So many competing stimuli but only limited capacity. Therefore there is a need to focus and select. So syempre, marami tayong mga stimuli. Marami tayong pwedeng makuhang information even one at a time or pwedeng sabay-sabay. So kapag naabot natin yung limited capacity natin or kapag meron tayong need na or yung need lang, so we can have this what we call attention. Like for example, we have visual attention. So this will be based on location and color. So kapag visual attention, kapag ang kailangan lang natin talagang i-priority, for example, or to need to be used Like for example, sa ating mga work setup is with regards to the mga colors, mga locations, so we can use visual attention. Like for example, sa mga electronics industry. So, ginagamit yan. Sometimes yung mga color coding ng mga wires wherein may mga ibig sabihin kung bakit pala sila magkakaiba ang kulay. Kasi para tama ang mga connections na kanilang maikakabit kung sakali. So dito, pwede nating i-implement yung visual attention so that the workers or yung ating human well-being will be performing their task accurately para hindi sila malito. So therefore, kung meron kang limitations or meron kang problema, for example, visually, hindi ito yung angkop na job para sa'yo. Kasi nga, syempre, it requires visual attention. So therefore, siguro, from the start pa lang, kung hindi nga siya angkop para sa'yo, then therefore, pwede siyang sa ibang area or kaya naman ay bigyan natin siya ng mga solution na pwede nating ibigay sa kanya para makakope up doon sa kinakailangan. Same goes naman kay auditory attention. So ito naman with regards to our hearing sense. So based on pitch, timbre, and intensity and other. So parang siya naman ay same sense in terms of visual attention, magkaiba lang ang kanilang application. So only one thing can be the focus of attention since from the result, we will be giving attention kasi so we need to focus only on one thing. And attention focus is voluntary or involuntary. So either of the two can be subjected to attention focus. Pero ito naman not necessarily after ng sensation natin, kailangan lagi natin ng attention kasi it depends naman also on the work or the task that we are performing to. Next is perception. Anyone who can read this? Yes, Miss Katapang.
Perception. Perception is in the case of perception, we process information and make out the meaning of the stimuli available to us. What one perceives depends on a selection, organization, and interpretation of stimuli, and an individual selectively attends to certain stimuli and not to others.
Okay. So, ang tatandaan nyo dito, so kanina meron tayo kay sensation. Ang keyword nun is yung ating mga senses. For the second one, attention, ang ating pwedeng keyword doon is yung focus. So, dito naman kay perception is, pwede natin sabihin na ito yung tayo ay recognize and interpret ng ating mga sensory information. So, from the sensation wherein yung ating mga organs, sense organs ay yung mga receptors nito ay nag-send ng nerve impulse to the brain. So, ito yung for further process para maunawaan natin siya. So, pwede siya mag-follow to the perception wherein, excuse me, dito binibigyan siya ni brain ng process and inuunawa or binibigyan natin ito ng meaning. Nire-recognize natin ano ba itong mga nerve impulse na na-send sa ating brain nitong ating mga sense organs na ito. So, ano ba, kung yan ay through the, what do you call this? Hearing natin, for example, anong klase ng nerve impulse ba na isend niya? For example, biglang, siya ay atin na na-process by the perception. Pwede niyang ma-recognize siya ngayon or mabigyan ng meaning as ito ba ay malakas, mahina, siya ba ay masakit sa tenga, etc., etc. So, dito siya kay perception, pwede mag-fall under. So, sana. Yan. Next. Sana. Next. So, we have several factors that can influence yung tinatawag natin perception. We have here 7. The first one is yung functioning of our sense organs. So, syempre, isa yan sa factor na makaka-influence or isa sa factor na makaka-apekto with regards dun sa ating recognition or interpretation of the information ng ating brain. Kasi kung hindi nagpa-function ng well yung ating sense organs, let's say sabihin na natin na so kung sa eyesight, hindi ka na 20/20 ang vision. Like for example, ikaw ay may grado na, yung tinatawag natin may grado na yung mata, either kaliwa, kanan, or mas worse nga kung parehas. So, syempre, hindi na nagpa-function ng ideally yung iyong eyesight. So, therefore, yung may send niya na impulse to the brain and yung mapaprocess ng utak natin, it's either ay iba doon sa accurate. Like, for example, dapat clear siya pero nakikita natin malabo. Kasi nga, hindi nagpa-function na maayos yung ating sense organ. So, yung nai-send na impulse sa atin ay hindi na din accurately. Kaya yung mapaprocess ng ating utak in terms of perception or yung pagbibigay ng meaning and recognition is naaapektuhan din. Okay? Ano pa yung halimbawa yung mga colorblind, for example. So, syempre, iba yung kulay na nakikita nila based from the original or based from doon sa actual. So, nakikita natin doon na nakaka-impluwensya talaga yung ating sense organs. Ganun din naman sa, kahit hindi naman siya limited to eyesight only, but on all of the sense organs na meron tayo. Like for example, meron mga tao na walang pang-amoy. Meron mga tao na sabihin natin yan na hindi nakakarinig ng maayos. So, yung functions na ating sense organs will greatly affect yung ating perception. Another one is yung functioning of our brain. So, for example, nagwo-work ng maayos na yung ating mga sense organs, but we have minor problems with regards on how our brain works or functions. Sabihin natin, may mga different factors din kasi kung bakit tayo, for example, meron ng problema on how our brains works or kung paano nagpa-function yung ating brain. So, syempre, kung hindi na nag-work ideally yung ating brain, kahit paano i-send na signal ng ating mga sense organs, hindi na yan ma-treat accurately katulad ng sa iba yung ng ating brain, yung mga nerve impulse na na-send na iyan. So, yung mga information na supposedly ma-process and nabigyan ng meaning, ma-recognize ng maayos ay naaapektuhan. So, yung perception natin is nagkakameron ng problema. Also, we have the third one which is yung ating mga previous experiences. So, sometimes kasi kapag may na-experience tayo, lalo na kung traumatic yan, naglalast long yan sa ating utak or sa atin as human being. So, nakaka-apekto siya in terms of how we perceive or paano na tayo makapag-recognize or makapagbigay ng meaning sa isang bagay na ating nakikita, narinig, and etc. Maaring, halimbawa ay may narinig tayong malakas na ingay, may traumatic experience tayo with regards to that kind of thing, for example, so maaring ang ma-perceive natin, may nangyayaring masama. May ganito doon. Halimbawa, may baril, may ganun, etc. Wherein, halimbawa, nagkakasiyahan lang naman pala. Walang gulo. So, kung makikita nyo, naapektuhan on how natin nabibigyan ng recognition or ng meaning yung bagay-bagay based on these previous experiences. Ito naman ay example lang. And then, psychological state also will be a factor that will influence our perception to different things kasi nga psychological state may kinalaman din to on how our brain works kasi. So, kung hindi tayo in a good state in terms of psychologically, so therefore, yung mga information na isinesend ng ating mga sense organs doon sa ating brain will be not perceived well katulad ng sa iba. Also, yung ating interest and motivation can influence or can be a factor in terms of our perception. Kasi, kung interesado ka sa isang bagay or kung motivated ka sa isang bagay, mas may will ka na intindihin ito. Mas may will ka na i-gather yung different information sa may kinalaman dito at mapaprocess ka agad ito within your brain. Pero kung ikaw ay demotivated, kung ikaw ay hindi interested doon sa isang bagay, kahit paanong signal yung isend, yes, mapaprocess pa rin siya, but it may take time to understand and to give meaning and recognition. And also, kahit nandiyan na minsan yung mga yung mga stimuli na yan, parang naapektuhan na on how we deal with them or paano sila i-process kasi nga we're not interested or we're not motivated with that kind of things. So it can also be factors that can influence yung ating perception. And also yung behavior of an organism, so it can also affect yung sinasabi nating perception. Kasi tawag dito, meron tayong different behaviors din na pwedeng makita, pwede nating ma-encounter. So, maaring yung isang natin na encounter, iba na naman dito sa isa. So, pabago-bago. And those behaviors is affecting also or can be a factor with regards to our perception of different things. Okay? Can you follow?
Yes po.
Next. Okay, so tapos na tayo kay sensation. We have yung mga sense organs natin. Then we have attention wherein we can focus on different sensation. We have the perception wherein we give meaning or we recognize the information being sent by our sense organs. So we will be having now the learning. So kay learning naman, it helps us acquiring new knowledge and skills through experience and practice. The acquired knowledge and skills further bring a relative change in our behavior and facilitate our adjustment in varied settings. So based now ngayon sa ating mga na-recognize, doon sa mga na-recognize natin na bigyan nating meaning na mga bagay or yung na ating information na nag-gather. So, pwede natin siyang i-acquire as new knowledge and skills na pwede natin pagyabungin. Pwede natin silang gamitin for further use, and also it will affect on how we react or how we behave as human being. Kasi kung, for example, yun nga, na-perceive natin na, ay ito, for example lang, may tinikman tayo sa bagay mapait to. Na-perceive ng utak natin na siya ay ganun. So therefore, magkakameron tayo ng different behavior na towards those kind of, kung ano man yung tinikman natin for example. So alam na natin na ganun siya, ayaw natin ng ganun. So hindi na natin siya ita-try for example. So, nagkakameron tayo ng change in behavior and also adjustment with regards to that setting. So, yun naman ay simple example only. So, it can vary depende kung anong sense organ ang ginamit natin at kung anong knowledge yung na-acquire natin through the help of that stimuli being sent to our brain. So, next. So, after we learn something, we acquire new knowledge, we can have the next one which is what we call the memory. So, kay memory naman, so the information we process and learn is registered and stored in the memory system. Memory also helps us to easily retrieve the stored information when it is required for use. So, para din naman siyang sa isang computer system. Hindi rin naman yan gagana kung wala siyang memory that we use. Hindi tayo makakapag-save ng mga different files or yung mga documents na ating ginagamit which is further used or retrieved din natin. So, parang ganun din sa utak. So, yung mga information that we process and natutunan natin is ini-store natin sa ating memory para itong mga knowledge na ito ay pwede natin magamit for further use kapag kailangan na natin siya. And it may vary kung saan natin siya ini-store. So, we have three components for our memory. We have the first one which is sensory memory. Second, we have the short-term memory. And lastly is yung tinatawag nating long-term memory. Okay? Saan nga tayo? Yan. Three components natin ng ating memory. First one is the sensory memory. Kay sensory memory, this is the mental representation of how environmental events look, sound, feel, smell, and taste. So, yung ating mga knowledge na na-acquire from our sense organs, So, commonly dyan yan nag-stay sa ating sensory memory. Like, ano ba lahat ng isang bagay? Ano ba yung nakita natin? Anong color? For example, etc. etc. So, that will be for our sensory memory. Commonly dyan yan nag-stay. Then, for short-term memory naman, remembering pieces of information for short period of time. So, yung mga kinakailangan natin for periodically lang, short period of time. Like, for example, yung mga numbers na kailangan lang natin siya ma-memorize pansamantala. May mga ganun tayong instances. For example, may nakita tayong plate number, gusto natin siyang i-recall maya-maya. Or may nakita tayong number, cellphone number na pwede natin i-contact. Halimbawa, meron tayong nakitang advertisement. Then, gusto natin silang makontak. Sometimes, minamemorize natin yan para bago natin siya ma-save or ma-write sa isang paper. So, lalo na kung hindi siya available. So, sometimes, may mga ganun tayong situation, so that can be considered as those information are being, or those knowledges are being stored to a short-term memory. And then, yung pangatlo naman, is yung ating long-term memory, which is, ito naman is, from the short-term memory, kung kailangan natin siya na i-long-term, kailangan natin siya pang matagalan, then we can store it doon sa ating doon sa ating long-term memory para even months, for example, even years na yung nakaraan, pwede pa rin natin siyang maalala. Kahit nga yung mga simple yung mga birthday natin, so commonly yan, dyan, kasi pang matagalan natin, mariretrieve natin siya anytime. Mariretrieve natin siya kung kailangan natin siya gagamitin. And sana lang class, yung ating mga learnings, kahit hindi dito lang sa ating subject, sa different courses natin, sana dyan siya nag-i-stay sa ating long-term memory. Kasi that will be very beneficial to us sa ating mga examinations, sa ating pag tayo ay nag-work na. So, sana nandyan siya sa ating long-term memory para pwede natin siyang i-retrieve anytime. Okay? So, yun yung pinagkaiba-iba ng ating three components. So, masabi dyan, it varies din also kasi meron tayong halimbawa ay pwedeng sa isang tao is yung ganong klase ng knowledge or information can be kept on a short-term memory pero sa iba pwede siyang pang long-term. May iba naman yung iba naman long-term sa kanila, sa iba short-term. So, parang vice versa. So, it depends din. Kasi sa pangangailangan at saka yung treatment nila with regards doon sa knowledge na yun, kung siya ba ay, kailan ba natin siya kailangan, for example. Kayo ba, class, sa tingin nyo, sa inyong mga studies, sa tingin nyo, mostly ba ng inyong knowledges ay saan nag-i-stay? To be honest lang. Yung, nyo lang, parang assessment nyo lang sa inyong sarili. Tingin nyo, class. Commonly ba yung mga knowledges, yung mga natututunan natin halimbawa sa classroom, commonly ba nag-stay yan sa inyong short term? Sa inyo ba or long term ba yan? Kasi ako, to be honest, karamihan sa akin short term din. Kaya ba, class? Anong commonly na i-experience nyo dyan? Sa tingin nyo lang, assessment nyo lang sa sarili nyo. Gising pa ba? Gising pa ba kayo? Short term? Parang puro short term yata. Parang lamang ay sa short term tayo na papastor, ano? Kasi, lalo na kung, siguro, pwede natin sabihin na factor din, lalo na kung overwhelmed tayo sa dami ng knowledge. Kasi alam naman natin, if we are, tayo, halimbawa, a student, or kapag tayo ay nag-aaral, so syempre, ang dami. Ang dami natin kailangang unawain, ang dami natin kailangang intindihin ng mga different knowledges. So, siguro hindi ko rin naman kayo masisisi kung yung ating assessment is more on sa short time na pupunta yung ating mga knowledges. Kasi, madami naman din talaga nga. Hindi na rin siya, kumbaga, yung limitation or yung capacity. Hindi naman talaga din natin kayang lahat yan isiksik doon sa ating pang long term. Okay? So, yun. Yun, thank you sa mga responses dito sa chat box. Thank you. So, naunawaan naman itong ating key memory. Okay? So next. So after memory, we have now the next one, which is thinking. So si thinking naman, we use our stored knowledge to solve various tasks. We logically establish the relationship among various objects in our mind and take rational decision for a given problem. So dito, we use those stored knowledge to solve various tasks. So yun nga, sabi ko nga sa inyo, kanina from our memory, which is yung ating fifth stage ng ating cognitive process, ay ini-store natin yung ating mga knowledges na nakuha or na-gain from different stimuli ng nakuha natin sa sensation. So, ngayon, itong mga knowledges natin ay pwede nating ma-retrieve kung kailan natin siya gagamitin when we feel na ito ay need na and tawag dito siya ay angkop for the situation or um, challenges na we might be facing too. So therefore, dito nagkakameron tayo ng thinking wherein itong excuse me, itong stored knowledge nito ay ginagamit natin to solve various tasks. So atin lang siyang i-assess siya ba applicable siya or siya ba hindi. Kung applicable siya, for example, then we can use it. So nagkakameron tayo ng pag-iisip. Nagkakameron tayo ng tinatawag nating thinking. Okay? Then after that, so we have decision making. So this decision making naman is the thought process of selecting a logical choice from the available options. Kasi sa pag-iisip natin, which is yung ating prior step, kumbaga meron tayong mga different store knowledge na feeling natin ay pwede nating magamit anytime and retrieve natin. So sometimes hindi naman iisa yung information na pwede nating ma-retrieve. So that in that case, we can have various of available options na pwede natin magamit as our knowledge to be used for that certain task or for that certain challenge na ating piniface to. So, dito nagkakameron din tayo ng decision making kung saan we can select the best na doon sa mga available options na meron tayo. So, parang, yun nga, magkasunod kasi yan. We have the thinking and then we have the decision making. So, based doon sa mga available options na yan, ano yung pwede natin gamitin? So, nag-decide tayo ngayon. Ano yung sa mga stored knowledge na yun ang gagamitin natin para sa ating mga challenges or various tasks na kinakaharap. Then lastly, our last step for our last stage rather for our cognitive process is the problem solving. So mental processes that involves discovering, analyzing, and solving problems. The ultimate goal of problem solving is to overcome obstacle and find a solution that best resolves the issue. So yun nga, after yun nga, nagthinking tayo, we use our stored knowledge to solve various tasks and then nagde-decide tayo which will be used for our task na ito. So we can now proceed to the problem solving wherein we apply. We use this process of analyzing and solve each problem na kinakaharap natin wherein ang atin namang goal dito is to provide the solution we intend to para ma-solve natin or para itong problemang ito ay maayos natin. So, part pa rin siya ng ating cognitive process kasi dito, ito yung magsaserve as a feedback or ito yung ating response or action. After natin ma-acquire yung mga knowledge na yun, baka kasi itong knowledge na ito ay atin lang na-store. So, sayang, hindi siya na-utilize or hindi siya nagagamit. So, itong mga knowledges na atin na-acquire, so dapat atin siyang ginagamit or dapat na-i-apply din natin ito para ma-close natin or para magamit natin yung whole process or para yung loop na yun ay mabuo. Kasi kung wala tayong feedback, wala tayong naging action based doon sa ating mga knowledges na yun, parang sayang lang yung ating na-acquire na knowledge. Okay? Is that clear? Clear yan, class?
Yes po.
Okay, ano nga uli yung first stage natin? Anyone? Anong first stage natin? Okay, we have sensation. Wherein kay sensation, ano lang yung naalala nyo with regards sa kanya?
Yung sa five senses po.
Okay, yung sa ating mga senses or sa ating mga sense organs. Then, ito yung tayo ay nag-send ng stimuli or yung mga nerve impulse to our brain. Next, ano yung second stage natin?
Attention po.
Okay, we have attention wherein kay attention, ano meron kay attention?
Nasa focus.
Sorry. Ano yan? Ano yan sa attention?
About po sa focus po.
Okay. So, about sa pagkakaroon natin ng focus. Next. Ano yung pangatlo?
Perception.
Perception po.
Next natin is yung perception. Wherein kay perception, ano yung nangyayari?
Ini-interpret po yung yung meaning po nung sa brain, ganun po.
Okay, so ini-interpret, nare-recognize, or binibigyan natin ng meaning yung mga information na isinasend sa ating brain. Okay? How about ano yung pang-apat? Anyone?
Learning po.
Okay, learning. So, kay learning, ano ang nangyayari naman sa kanya?
Acquiring new knowledge and skills po.
Okay, nakakapag-acquire tayo ng mga new knowledge and skills based doon sa mga information na isinend doon sa ating brain at na-perceive natin or bigyan natin ng recognition. Then, what will be the next stage?
Memory po.
Okay, kay memory. Ano meron kay memory?
Doon po natin ini-store po yung yung na-acquire po nating knowledge.
Okay, doon natin in-store yung mga na-acquire nating knowledge. So, So, meron tayo doon tatlong components. Sana itandaan nyo naman kung ano yung mga iyon. So, we have yung ating sensory, we have yung short term, and yung long term. So, after ng memory, anong sunod?
Thinking po.
Anong meron kay thinking?
Stored knowledge po para po ma-solve po yung various tasks.
Okay, ginagamit natin yung ating mga stored knowledge from our memory para doon sa mga various tasks. Depende kung alin yung pwede natin gamitin. So, nire-retrieve natin siya. Then, after thinking, we have
Decision making po.
okay, we have decision making wherein meron tayong mga available options. May mga pwede tayo, kumbaga hindi isang na-retrieve. So, we can decide which one can be used for that particular task or challenges that we are facing to. And the last one will be yung ating problem solving. So, dito ito siya yung nagsaserve as a feedback or action natin para makapagbigay tayo ng solution for that specific task or for that specific problem or issues that we are encountering. Okay? Clear tayo doon sa ating stages of cognitive process.
Yes po.
Yung iba. Clear ba? Yan, okay.
Clear po.
Sending heart. Thank you for the heart. Thank you. Sige. Okay? So, since okay na tayo kay different stages of cognitive process, we can now move forward to what we call human information processing. And kakamti. Marami pa pala. Pero, hindi, kaya na yan. So, kay human information processing naman, so, human information processing and cognitive psychology are rather becoming an increasingly important area in quality, safety, and risk management by allowing us to predict human performance within systems, understand how people solve problems, and why errors occur. So, yun nga, kung paano natin pinaprocess or yung information na paprocess, which is a part of our cognitive process is, kumbaga malaki na yung role na ginagampanan niya in terms of providing safe working environment, high productivity, and quality with regards to the product that we are producing. Kasi nga, dito, through the use of also nga ni ating cognitive ergonomics, we will be able to understand the behavior of the human being, kung paano tayo nag-interact with regards to our task, environment, and to the machineries and etc. So dito, we can understand kung paano nag-arise yung isang problema, paano siya nangyari, bakit, and so on. So information processing lies at the heart of human performance. In a plethora of situations in which humans interact with systems, the operator must perceive information, transform that information into different forms, take actions on the basis of perceived and transformed information, and process the feedback from that action, assessing its effect on the environment. Para ito naman is katulad din ng ating cognitive process, yung information process na ito, wherein, syempre, we must perceive first yung ating mga information. Kailangan meron tayong information na mag-gather and maunawaan kung ano ba siya. And from those information or those knowledges na ma-acquire natin, ay magagamit natin siya for certain tasks, various tasks, para to solve ba siya a certain problem, gamit ba natin siya sa mga reasoning, problem solving, as our action with regards to the different problems or para dun sa mga various tasks na ating kinabibilangan. So a simplified cognitive model of human information processing serves as the basis for understanding how cognitive resources such as memory and attention are utilized in human-computer interaction. So ito naman, halos same pa din naman siya. So we have yung ating different memory that we can use, working memory, we have sensory, short-term or long-term memory, and then we have the different processors. We are having a perception, cognition, and motor. So ito naman ay halos same naman yan. Doon pa din sa ating mga na-discuss before, yung mga doon sa ating stages of cognitive process. So that will involve pa rin naman even dito sa ating tinatawag na human information processing. So yan, another model. So makikita natin dyan how for example, our senses work first. So we have different events or stimuli which will trigger or start yung ating pinaka-loop. Then that will be encountered or stimulated through the use of our senses. Like for example, we have our eyes, ears, etc. And then we will perceive or we will what do you call this? Give meaning or recognize a certain information or knowledge based on that stimulated or nerve impulse. And then after that, after natin ma-perceive yung ating mga bagay-bagay na yun, ito ngayon yung kinukuha natin para maging new knowledge. Siya yung ginagamit natin for our decision and response selection, which is for the latter part ng ating cognitive process. And then, ayan naman is nakasave dun sa ating memory. So dito, ginamit lang na terms is we have working memory and long-term memory. And then, yung ating response execution, so syempre yan ay after ng ating decision and response selection. Or kung doon sa ating kaninang cognitive process, if we have yung thinking and decision making. So we will be having response execution where we have sending responses or feedback para doon sa mga events or stimuli na ating na gather or na kuha. So, yung ating attention resources dito, so hindi siya directly from one part to another kasi it depends din naman kung ano bang area yung pwede din natin bigyan ng attention. Kung saan ba tayo magkakamera ng attention, depende sa pangangailangan din or depende din sa task na ka-involvean natin. Okay? So, human information processing model again. So, commonly the information natin is kung hindi man dito natin na-store sa long term, at least ideally dapat more importantly dito natin siya na-store kasi para anytime pwede natin siya ma-retrieve from even in the long period of time. Kasi kung siya ay nasa short term lang, it will be hard for us to retrieve a certain knowledge or skills na medyo matagal na. Kailangan pa natin siyang i-recall, kailangan pa natin siyang i-trigger kasi na short term lang siya. So this type of memory, we have the long-term memory is divided into two. We have the explicit or what we call declarative and the other one is implicit or the non-declarative. Okay? So, pinagkaiba ng dalawa kay explicit, ito yung consciously work to remember. Parang ito yung pwede natin sabihin na something na may magti-trigger. Like yung sa semantic, ito yung mga knowledge and concepts. Yes, ideally dapat ito ay nakastore sa ating long-term memory para madali natin siyang ma-retrieve. But ito, we need to consciously work to remember. So kailangan ito sometimes nire-recall natin para siya ay ma-retain natin sa ating memory, para siya ay manatiling nandoon. Also yung mga episodic or yung mga experience or yung ating mga events. So sometimes inuulit-ulit natin siya para siya ay what you call this? Siya inuulit-ulit natin para siya ay nakasave or para siya ay manatili doon sa ating memory. Well, the implicit naman or non-declarative is what we call the remembered unconsciously and effortlessly. Yung parang kahit hindi natin siya totally pinipilit na ma-store, maalala, is kaya natin siyang ma-recall or magamit. Kasi nga sila ay non-consciously or unconsciously and effortlessly remembered. Like for example, yung ating emotional conditioning. Kasi yan naman ay parang innate na sa atin. Procedural, yung different skills and actions na pwede natin i-bigay or i-retrieve or i-perform. Okay, basta tatandaan nyo with regards to these two, we have explicit. Explicit is consciously work to remember. And then si implicit naman is remembered unconsciously and effortlessly. Effortlessly. Yan ba tayo? Yan. 28 slide. Oh, malapit naman na. So, the trouble with information. Still with me ba, class? Nakakahabol pa.
Yes po.
Yes po.
Okay? So, to proceed tayo with the trouble with information. So, to illustrate the significance of human information processing, we will first introduce what we call the Hicks law and a model of human information processing. So, some models for decision making will be presented next. These models either rely on principles of cognitive psychology or on observations of naturalistic decision making or of people in real work settings. So, yung I think following slides natin will be dealing on what we call Hicks law and then some theory. Pero yung pahuli nito, may computation kasi yan ay iano na lang namin siguro by next meeting sa inyo yung ibang theory niya. Okay? So, we have here, yan, example lang. We have design A and design B. For example, ano yung pwede yung, what do you call this? Interpretation with regards to these two designs. Any idea lang? We have design A, parang meron tayo dito mga knobs. And then for design B, we have here several buttons. So ito naman mga design concepts pa lang. Ano yung parang na-interpret niya based on the illustration or on the figure? Anyone? Yes?
Mas madali pong naiintindihan po kung ano pong settings ang gagawin. Tapos po, mas maayos po yung tignan po yung yung design B. Sa design A po.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So both of these designs, parang kung mapapansin nyo, they focus naman on different things. Like for example, yung design A, kung papansin nyo, ang focus niyan is on the adjustment of, ano ba pag W? What? Pag W na what? So yun. While on the other one, on design B naman, ang focus niya is on the type of, for example, kung ano man yung i-heat natin. Kasi maaring ito ay sa isang oven or kung ano man. So kung papansin nyo, magkaiba yung atake nila on both of the design kasi depende siya kung ano yung target din natin na iparating dun sa ating user. For example, kasi nga nagba-vary din tayo on how to perceive yung ating mga information na ating nagagather at yung ating mga knowledges na makukuha sa kanila. Okay? And yun lang naman with regards to this design A and design B. So kung makikita nyo, yung difference na pwede nating ma-provide in terms of the design, maaaring akala natin simple lang, pero maaari siyang maka-impact ng malaki with regards doon sa ating perception of the design na ipinrovide sa atin. So pag iba ng ating makukuha na mapaperceive sa kanya, maaring iba't iba yung action na pwede natin ma-provide as response or feedback doon sa information na ating na-gather na iyon. Okay? Okay? Next. So yan, human reaction time and Hicks law. So a common performance measure in human factors is human reaction time or what we call RT. The reaction time varies depending upon what people are reacting to. So in HFE, reaction time is used to measure how complex decisions are. Complex decisions take a long time and easy decisions take a short time. So dito sinasabi sa ating what do you call this? Human reaction time is that pag complex ng isang decision or pag complex ng isang bagay, pag haba ng time na tayo ay magre-react. So vice versa, kung pag easy, pagdali ng isang bagay, pag-ikse ng time na kailangan natin for its reaction. So RT is used to reformulate our or redesign decisions so that they become easier, quicker, and more reliable. So kung nakikita natin for example na since pag komplikado na isang bagay is pagtagal ng reaction, then gawin natin siyang yung kanina, yung isang goal natin, which is to make it easier to use ng ating mga gagamit sa kanya. Same goes with Hicks law. Kasi halos para sila ng model or ng theory na ginagamit. So Hicks law stipulates that the reaction time is a function of the number of choices in a decision. So reaction time is plotted as function of information uncertainty in bits. So kung makikita niyo yan dito sa ating left side of this slide, so meron tayo dyan parang graph. So yung nasa x-axis natin dito is yung bits of information wherein ito yung dami ng information that we will be using or gathered, while on the y-axis naman is yung ating reaction time in commonly in seconds yan. Pero pwede naman yung other units. Okay? So, halos kapares siya nung kanina yung ating human reaction time that pag complex ng isang decision, pag long ng reaction time. So, dito naman, pag dami ng choices or pag dami ng information, number of choices or number of information that needs to be considered, then pagtagal ng kanyang reaction time also. So ito ay nagsho-show ng isang straight linear relationship. Thus, it seems that the brain is wired to respond linearly to the number of bits of information. So, pag dami ng information, pagtagal ng ating reaction time. So, pag unti, pag-iksi ng ating reaction time. Is that clear? Any question, clarification?
Wala pa naman po.
Okay. So, yan. General categories of theories of information processing. So, we have what we call here is stage theory. So, kanina meron tayong Hicks law. Now, we have stage theory naman of information processing developed by Atkinson and Shiffrin. Describes 3 stages for storing and processing information, which ito na yung na-discuss na din natin a while ago, which is yung 3 components ng ating memory. So we have the sensory memory for our different senses. We have the short-term memory, which is for remembering pieces of information for a short period of time. And then for long-term memory naman is, siya naman is yung for longer period of time. Then, parallel, so we have here also known as distributed or connectionist models, describe information processing as occurring in multiple locations across a network of connections. So it view information processing as occurring simultaneously through multiple interactions occurring across the brain's neural network. Romelhart and McClelland explained that information processing takes place through the interaction of a large number of simple processing elements. So, yung pagpaprocess natin ng information is hindi naman yan commonly sa isang stimuli lang. Hindi naman siya yung parang to the help of a single receptor only. So, commonly yan naman ay through the use of collective number of elements and kinukombine siya para magkaroon ng information to process para mas maging accurate yung ating process na yung ating information na pinaprocess through our brain. Yan. Hindi ko sure kung last part ito. Yan. I think this will be the last part muna for this discussion is yung ating tinatawag na channel capacity theory. So the channel capacity theory states that a certain quantity of information is delivered to the input end of the channel and output at the other end depends upon the capacity of the channel. So, syempre, meron tayong sometimes, syempre, kung konti lang yung ating inputs na mai-send doon sa ating channel, then yung ating information is transmitted to the channel and pwede tayong makapag-send or makapag-feedback ng output na kasing dami ng input. However, pag meron kasi tayong over input or masyadong mataas na input na isinesend doon sa ating channel, eventually it reaches a threshold value where the output from their channel is no longer a representation of all information transmitted. Kasi meron tayong kumbaga limitation or threshold na nakukuha. So sa pagtaas ng input, yung masyado ng madaming information yung naibigay sa atin, for example, hindi na siya kinakaya ng ating channel. So, yung number of outputs is relatively, hindi na siya nag-represent sa number ng ating input. Kasi, nagkakameron tayo ng threshold or yung kanyang limitation. So, yun naman yung sinasabi dito kay channel capacity theory. So pag maunti, okay lang, kinakaya ng ating channel. Nakapagbigay tayo ng necessary output. But sa pagdami na minsan ng ating information, kapag sobrang dami na at hindi na siya kinakaya, so sometimes nagkakameron na tayo ng threshold. Okay? Wait, silipin ko lang. Yan. Hindi ko na to, siguro show ko lang sa inyo yung next part niya. But hindi ko na lang siya muna i-discuss kasi ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina that ito yung may part na may computation and we intend this to discuss for the future or for the following discussions natin. So ito ay about information theory. Show ko lang siya muna sa inyo for the meantime. Hindi naman siya totally napaka-complex ng kanyang computation. Kung makikita nyo, we have here a formula lang na h is equal to log 2n. But we intend to discuss na lang this on the following discussion para may kasama din siya ng other topics. Kaya yan, pakita ko lang siya sa inyo para may idea kayo what we will be discussing first on the next meeting. Para madagdagan din namin to ng details and examples. Kasi parang kulang ata ito. Yan. Yan, karugtong pa rin naman ito yung kanina kasi as information theory, we have here the measurement. And then, yan. Dulo na siya eh. Yan. So, ito ay i-discuss na lang natin sa sunod. Kung sakali. Do you have any question, clarification?
Wala naman po, sir.
How about yung iba class? Gising pa ga? Send nga
Wala.
kayo uli ng raise hand nga uli kung gising pa. Mahuli ko dyan tulog. Yan. Okay? I thank you. Pwede na ulit alisin. Okay, so mga gising pa naman. Question, clarification on any part of our discussion. Bukod dun sa kanina, sabing wala na. How about the others? Question? Clarification?
Wala.
Okay. So, by next week, so, yun nga, hindi ko pa sure. So, yun na, tentatively muna. Baka makapag-announce muna kasi makapag-announce kami na mali. Pero, ang pagkakalam kasi namin ay wala. Pero sabi nyo kasi kanina wala pa kayong nababalitaan. Parang bago yun. Wala nabalitaan ng students kung walang pasok o meron. But yun, tentatively ang alam ko ay wala. So therefore, yung ating schedule is kailangan nating mag-realign. I think kailangan naming tingnan ng maayos kung paano natin isa-set up kasi okay lang sana kung online yun na wala iba-iba ng konti. At least alam natin na online class siya. Pero mas mabigat kasi kapag yung face-to-face class yung nawala kasi we intend to perform ng mas madami kapag face-to-face para hindi rin sayang ang punta at saka mas effective siya talaga kapag face-to-face class. So, tingnan natin kung ano talaga by February 10. Kung sakali naman, I also inform you na kung ano yung pwede nating options if ever na wala kang pasok. Kung tayo ay magkakamera ng makeup class or wala. Kasi depende siya din sa inyong availability. Availability ko at yung ating classroom. Then, the copy of the presentation na ginamit natin for today, try ko kung may send ko siya by today sa ating Google Classroom. Pero, inuunahan ko na kayo parang hindi ko siya may share today. Kasi, may pupuntahan ako. Okay? Shala, paano sa estudyante? Hindi, pero, ito na yan. Tingnan ko kung kaya ko by next week. Basta yun naman isasend namin sa inyo ang copy ng presentation. Tapos, Oo, estudyante mo tomato, say hi. Say hi to the paparazzi on my good side. Yan, si Sir Angel. Kasi niya siya, bukas. Bukas. Wala daw kayong class. Joke. Joke lang, joke lang. May klase kayo, may klase kayo. Sorry, sorry. Pinangunahan. Uy, joke lang. No? Uy, masaya sila. They are happy. Yan, pipilitin natin. Oh, yan. Yun yung mga nagugulo sa likod. May mga visitors. Pero yun, tawag dito. So, sasabihin ko, sasend ko na lang yung copy kung sakali. Paki-prepare na lang nung kanina kong discuss sa inyo with regards to the ano nga din, yung software. Yung kanina kong sinad. Isasend ko din sa inyong group, sa ating group chat yung link para mas madali nyo siyang mahanap at para parehas kayo ng titingnan kung sakali. Ano pa ba? Parang yun pa lang naman. With regards to the lab activity, tatanong ko pa sa kanila kung ano yung lab activity or ano yung setup na gagawin soon. Kung kailan man yun. Pero dapat yun ay sa face-to-face class. Ano pa ba? Parang yun lang naman. Yun pa lang naman so far. Wala pa naman tayong quiz yata. Kasi kung di lang nagkakamali ang sa syllabus natin ay yung nai-show ko sa inyo na nakaraan ay parang pick pa yung unang ano natin unang assessment. Pero check ko rin siya. At kayo na may i-update ko kung magkakameron tayo ng mga assessment tasks already. Okay? Last call. Any other question, clarification? Naunawaan ba ako sa ating discussion? Okay, yan. Thank you sa reactions. At least alam ko ang status. Pero parang sila na din yung kanina. Hindi ko alam yung iba class na. Kayo ay, hindi ko lang nakikita yung iba. But I hope na naunawaan ninyo yung ating naging discussion. Kung hindi man ay pwede nyo pa rin naman ako sabihin if ever. And yun nga, isasend ko naman ng copy para maging serve as inyo ding reference. Okay? So, kung wala na naman kayong question or clarification, I'll be giving you the permission na to exit our Google Meet para kayo makagamit ng time natin, yung ating remaining time for other important matters. Baka kayo ay may submit na rin for other courses. Okay? So, giving you the permission na to leave. Ask ko lang kung nakaabot ba si Miss Barion?